Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Patch Notes show here. We are excited to be bringing you the brand new Paladins action for the new patch, and we have some chairs, which is a good development, at least for now.
Take a break after leg day this morning.
We're safe. We're safe for now.
The hammies, coach.
My name is Randy. I'm joined by hi-rez Pretty Hair, obviously hi-rez ALYSSA, and Thomas Holt.
Yes.
Hey.
You are the art director, correct?
I am art director for Paladins, hi-rez Holt on Twitch.
Awesome.
So, yep.
Follow him, man. Do you stream often?
Oh no.
Okay.
I am
So
a
why would
lurker. I'm in a bunch though.
I was gonna say,
I watch, always watching.
I would
So,
tune in for that
yes.
if that was possible. So we got some really great stuff coming up for you today, and of course we want to get things off rolling quickly. The first thing that's going to be introduced is Ruckus. He's getting some recolors.
Yep.
So Ruckus will have a couple of new skins. Thomas, you're the art director. Anything particular you want to talk about here?
Well, just obviously we're working through our lineup, the rest of our champions. There's a few left. I think it's him, and then Cassie is the only one after him that still don't have their full customization and part system in place. So this patch, we kind of buckled down and took care of him and the mech. And
Nice.
So now you can pick your favorite color, go through your skins that you've already purchased and that you have in game, and mix and match those parts for your enjoyment.
So Ruckus getting a little bit of love.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Are these just full bodies, or these are all the weapons and the heads and the body?
Yep,
Then
full system on him. So the body is the basic mech. The weapons is essentially from elbow down. So you get both guns, the hand and stuff for the emotes. And then his head attachment, it's a little bit different for the head part. It's actually the entire goblin. So
Wow.
his whole little
I see that,
jumpsuit, his
the
little flight.
jumpsuit.
So you
Yes.
can dress him a little bit differently from the mech.
gotcha.
Excellent.
Awesome.
So that's going to be it for kind of the Ruckus recolors, and you say Cassie, we still got to get hers on that.
Yeah,
So we'll be
we're
moving
working on her.
We'll be moving on to a few more things. So the recolors coming in strong in this patch, but Ruckus, he's getting some other love as well.
He is. He's actually getting a lot of love.
A lot of love.
So as you're
Whoa.
seeing probably now, this is Star Slayer. So this skin we're really excited about. It's one that's been kind of in the works, and we've had to put it on hold for different things at different times. But we were able to finally get back to it. And it's actually it's probably the most in-depth, like kind of extreme skin we've done so far for a champion.
It's very detailed for sure.
So, yeah, it's a complete rewaddle. It's obviously in that kind of retro, kind of sci-fi, kind of visual style that we're big fans of. But
Oh yeah.
That looks beautiful.
yeah, in addition to this, though, you may check out his weapon. So you'll see he's got these twin blasters, and so this is
Right.
one of the things that we've done. Like I said, it's kind of a little bit. Kind of pushing that bar for skins
Right.
that we haven't done with anybody else yet is we've completely reworked his weapon and reworked how it visually looks and how that kind of communicates. So it still works the same way. Gameplay's still there. Still feels good. Still feels like Ruckus. But it's got that nice kind of like twin blaster kind of piston kind of action with it. Some great VFX. The VFX team did an amazing job with this as well. So a lot of love from the art team on this one.
So is he going to shoot from just the right hand, or is there the claw? Does the claw do anything? Because that would be
It
awesome.
does. So if you have the emotes for him, which you can get in the Radiant chest, you'll notice that our goblin's a little feisty and a little cocky, and sometimes the mech puts him back in his place, and he uses the hand for that. But in game, it is he'll have both blasters, both sides.
Okay.
It works just like the rest of our skins. So functional wise, it's Ruckus and Bolt. It's everything you need. Skin wise, though, it's fully themed and kind of done up.
Beautiful. Well, that's going to be exciting for all of you Ruckus fans, and I think I myself am really excited to see the continued growth of skin development in the game. It's been exciting. You and your team have done a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you.
And not only for the skins, it's actually been pretty impressive for the reworks that we've seen going on in the maps. And we actually have a new map this patch that is going to be, well, that has been reworked, and that is Serpent Beach.
Yes, definitely. So the level design team has been doing an amazing job kind of going back, looking at what's happening in the community and our esports scene and stuff, and making improvements. And the environment art team has been, just blowing it out of the water. Like we've been going back and having a chance now that the gameplay is kind of set, and we have kind of a better feedback from our community, obviously, and our fans. And basically adding more theming, going back in, kind of addressing some of the visuals. In this case, with Serpent Beach, one of the first things you may notice is it's nighttime.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of tropical maps, and that kind of all take place in the same setting. You can actually see the different lanes and the different maps from each location, which we like. But we wanted to set this one apart. We wanted it to be different. When you see the loading screen, you know exactly which one it is. So it is Serpent Beach. We added a lot of serpents. You'll see
there we
serpents all over the place. And we did take this one to kind of an evening. So it's got a beautiful new lighting setup. You know, I'm really excited to see kind of what the players think about it and see how they react.
That atmosphere is just so incredible. Like you said, with the nighttime and the lighting, it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, that's one of the things we want to do through all of our maps is we're concentrating a lot on finding opportunities and finding ways to kind of double down on the theming of the maps and also increase the storytelling. We've got some stuff that we want to communicate through that, through the history of what's there, and then also kind of what you see, maybe pull in some of the lore and a little bit of that environment storytelling that I think kind of enhances the game overall.
And Nick, as an esports caster, I mean, talk about this for us.
The Temple Ruins variant, we see this every series. We see these maps. The Temple Ruins variants are by far the most popular, and they're all so sunny. It's good that the champions are going to get a break from the sun, man. They can get a little sunburn every now and then.
Well, they'll play the daytime map, then they'll play the nighttime map. So then when they get back to daytime, they'll have a full day's rest.
Yeah, there you go.
But these are really beautiful. I played this map myself in Dev, and I think Alyssa mentioned it. The ambiance, kind of the texturing, the feel when you're in it, just looks and makes you feel like it's almost like a new map, really, and it's fantastic.
Okay. And yeah, we definitely have some new maps in the work as well. But yeah, we want to make sure that we're giving some love to the maps that have been out there and loved so much by the players.
Fantastic. So obviously these maps are coming in. Alyssa, you're not an esports player, you're not an esports caster, but you like this.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, like you said, the ambiance, nighttime, I think it just really brings something different and interesting to this map.
Snakes. Look at that big snake up there on the temple there. I just noticed that. That's tight.
Which one? There's two.
Well, there's a huge one in the back, right?
Yeah. I mean, the clouds in the background as well.
Maldamba friendly up in here.
What do you think, Dry Bear?
I like it.
Wait, what? Dry Bear?
Hi. Hello.
Thomas.
I'm kind of like Thomas.
You were so handsome. What happened?
It went so wrong.
We gave Thomas a little bit of a rework while we were in Serpent Beach.
Visual rework.
What's up, man? How you doing, Dry Bear? Lead designer of Paladins. Welcome to the patch show. I know it's been a while since you've been able to kind of touch base with the community in this format, so we're excited to have you back.
Yeah, so we're kind of reaching out in different forums, but obviously trying to kind of make sure that we have time to kind of come talk to you guys. One thing that I'm excited about for this patch is obviously the map that we're looking at. One thing to clarify is that it's not a new map, right? We are in the process of working on maps. We actually have 3 maps that are currently in kind of early phase, right? And as we work on maps, they don't always see the light of day, right? They don't always come all the way out. And as we're looking at the maps, we want to make sure that our next map really adds a nice contrast point to the Siege game mode. We are currently working on potentially a new mode that will require maps for that as well, and revisiting, looking at payload potentially. But Siege is kind of our big focus, is kind of the most popular mode right now. And as we look to release our 8th map, we'll make sure that has a really strong contrast point. But at the same point, as we're going through the alpha and closed beta states, we tried to make sure the maps fit what the game was evolving to become. And obviously, we didn't really have the time that we would like to really kind of enhance and make the feel of the maps stand out. So the art team has had time now to kind of go back maps one by one and really start enhancing them and making them feel awesome. And Serpent Beach is our next one. Obviously, with it being one of our competitive maps and one of our most liked maps, we wanted to make sure that we didn't introduce too many new changes because it's very well liked, but we still wanted to theme it and make it stand out from the others.
So I guess that was the question I had. Are there any actual changes to the map itself in terms of the layout, or is it just visual effects that are added onto it?
There are some changes to the layout. Like I said, we're more focused on making sure that the core gameplay that people like about them is still there. A couple changes that players will notice is right off the bat, one of the things that we had a big gripe, I'm sure the community's complaining about as well, is when you come out of the spawn and you go to the left, you go through that flank route, you come down the stairs and you hit a railing.
Yeah.
Right, and that just didn't feel good, right? And as level designers and as game designers, we talk about flow, and it's basically as the map kind of guides you through the map. Running into things that feel hindering is obviously not great. So that first banister that you run to when you land and come down the stairs is gone now. So we've opened that space up to kind of come through there. You'll have the space that goes up into the capture point right away. That'll be opened up a little bit as well. The rest of the layout is exactly the same. We did open up the, if you look on the far right side of the map towards the balcony, we opened that space up a little bit more. It was a little cluttered. There's a lot of foliage there and kind of pieces of rock that blocked you from getting line of sights or defending properly. So we opened that up as well. And then we also added a secondary bridge.
Oh, wow. All right.
More bridges.
More bridges.
Building bridges.
More
I love
verticality.
it. I love it. I love it. A lot of building going on. So I guess looking at that, we will have, we have the EVIE'S Winter Classic coming up for esports. So there is this kind of event running, but there's a lucky kind of 2-week break. So teams can acclimate to the new map. It's definitely not a lot being thrown at them, but for the small changes that there are, there's plenty of time to adjust and prepare for when we get live on that back early December. And speaking of that, kind of moving on to the next section of the patch notes, we've obviously got balance discussion, and we're kind of going to give it to Nick to help lead us and run us through what are the changes coming through in terms of balance for the champions in this patch.
Yeah, so the first one that we actually hit was Barik. He's getting a little bit taken off the top, I guess is the best way to put it, across kind of all of his survivability, his mobility, his sustain. He was doing a little bit too much of each of those things, one having to lean on his supports as much as a frontliner should have to. So first thing on the docket is he actually got his health brought down from 3,000 to 2,900. So that's going to be about a 10%. And he's always, Barik is one of the most strong win rate, especially in casuals and lower level games and stuff. So he does very well for himself kind of all across the board.
Right.
Another big change was his healing station card.
Okay.
It's going to be reduced here. From the top end, it went 60, 120, 180, 240. And that's actually being brought down to 45, 90, 135, and now 180 at the top end. Okay. So with 240 health per second with those standing in the healing station, he was starting to creep up like towards the supports.
Right.
And that's not really kind of where he wanted to be positioned there as a front line.
Yeah.
Another thing that has been changed about him is his cooldown for his rocket boots has been increased. Just 2 seconds, though.
Okay.
So he was very slippery. Also, there's a card that provides survivability on rocket boot cooldown.
Right.
So that'll kind of help bring that in line as well.
Right. Okay. So he's getting the touch too, a little bit of the mobility, a little bit of everywhere.
Just a little bit off the top.
Just a little bit off the top of everything.
Take a little off the top.
And just trying to bring him back in line. Obviously, one of the very well-performing champions, and he's been a staple in the meta for the longest time now. And so hopefully this will kind of bring him into line where he is as a front line. I think that healing station change, in my opinion, is a pretty good one. Because
it can be kind of frustrating, right?
Yeah.
It'll help kind of like you have that decision right where do I kill the turret or do I kill Barik? And this will kind of help you with that.
Exactly. So Barik is getting that. Did anything else change? I see there's his bonus damage is adjusted slightly as well.
That's right. So the turrets apply the mark that gives the bonus damage there, and that was 15%, and they could stack up to 30. Okay. Now it's been taken down to 10% each, so now it'll be a total of 20. 20%.
Okay, so he's going to hit a little less hard when he's got his turrets up.
Yeah, that's correct.
Got it. So that's great. So that's what's happening for Barik. Who else do we have on the totem? Who's getting touched as well here?
Next is going to be Grohk.
Oh.
So Grohk, he's a very strong healer, right? With the totem is one of the most potent healing output options in the game, but it takes a lot of coordination, a lot of setup. You have to protect it because it was very, very vulnerable. Only 400 health at base. There are cards to supplement it, but it just didn't feel like enough, especially with the other deployables in the game like Barik's turrets, Ying's clones. Those are pretty tanky at base and then can get frustrating to the point where you want to bulldoze them with cards. And that's kind of where we brought Grohk's totem up to. So it was at 400 base, like we mentioned. Now it's going to be at 900. And it was just dying too much kind of in the collateral, in the crossfire. Fernando, it feels like he could just sneeze on the totem and it just dies. So now it can stand a little bit more on its own, and I think that's going to help him a lot.
So also, obviously Grohk getting a little bit of get some love here.
That's right.
That's important. So I think we've seen him shift in and out of the meta, maybe not be as consistent as some of the other healers in this.
It was risky. With the totem being so squishy, it was very risky. One of the highest potential healing output abilities in the game, and now will help kind of fit that role more.
Right, just rewarding players for picking him up, not saying, hey, if this one thing that you rely on to do all your healing is gone, you might as well not be a healer, right?
It's got a long cooldown as opposed to clones and mending spirits, things like that.
So there's another champion getting some love here.
That is right.
And he starts with a G as well. He's very near and dear to your heart. People have been asking about a little bit of love for this for a while.
That's right.
His name is Grover.
The Church of Grover.
Church of Grover.
The doors are reopening now to the Church of Grover.
Some new apostles.
So his damage output was a little bit too low for what we wanted. It was only a 300 base, and the damage scaling kind of went from there. And so we brought that up from 300 to 350 now, and this is going to help in a number of ways. So when you get up close, sometimes when you need to go heal, you have to be close to your teammates. You can't take advantage of your range scaling. This would hurt your damage output, as that's how Grover's axes work. The farther it goes, the more damage it does. Now it does 350 base as opposed to just 300. This will also help him dealing with shields, because when you pick up a Wrecker on Grover, it only scales off the base. doesn't scale off all the range scaling there. So
Right.
he'll definitely be able to deal with the shields a little bit more appropriately now.
Right, which is great for him since he is that kind of up and close healer and fighter. He's going to be in front of a lot of shields.
That's
and
right.
As much as he can contribute to that battle.
So yeah, so he can still go Aaron Rodgers from downtown.
Right.
But he'll be a little bit more effective up close when he needs to get in there and heal.
Which is
be there for his team.
Exactly. So brings him a little bit more in alignment, gives players some more, maybe a little bit more of a benefit in going that route. Opens up some more item options for them.
For sure.
Wrecker probably not picked up. Deft Hand's definitely the go-to item for Grohk.
Swiftness.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He doesn't reload.
Aggression.
So don't grab Deft Hands on him. So there are a couple other things. Viktor is really the one that actually is seeing the most here, despite that. Pip got a little bit of an adjustment. Shaolin got a little bit of adjustment. These are more bug fixes and card stuff. But in terms of balance, I think Viktor is the next one to touch on.
Right. So Viktor, the main thing here is his range, his fall off. It started at 135 feet, and now it's going to be brought down to 90 feet. He was just being a little bit too effective, kind of from that almost creeping in on the sniper range. So he'll have to be a little bit more in the fight to do full damage. He'll still be able to attack, from range. It just won't be as potent.
And then is there anything else adjusted? He was very, very accurate from range as well. So he's getting a bit of adjustment to his recoil.
Yeah, so the aim down sight recoil is seeing an increase, especially with cards like Compensator. It felt like almost the recoil wasn't there. And that just kind of became a little bit too much of a staple around his playstyle. So this will help. You have to be more in the fight, and you have to fight the recoil a little bit more, make it feel more, in tune with the assault rifle style.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's kind of the roles that are, I think, very distinct. It seems like they're trying to adjust kind of where Viktor fits in that role. Kanessa, Shaolin, they're very effective from long range. Viktor almost that way.
Yeah.
And they kind of wanted to just, I think, clarify the intention of where Viktor should be playing. He's going to be most effective as that that mid-range kind of champion, not to overlap any of the snipers.
Exactly. I kind of like to think of it as like a bar graph, right? So you got the fight, and then you got the champions that kind of where their effective range is at. And he was a little bit too far away from the fight.
Yeah.
Kind of had to bring him in a little bit.
That grenade still goes far, though.
Yes,
so
sir.
he will still be able to impact the fight. Well, that's going to do it for balance today. We are going to move on to community questions. A lot of you had a lot of interesting questions ALYSSA has been able to compile for us. So we're kind of going to sit around and just answer them as best as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I think to start, Rory was actually looking at the Twitch chat, and I think he found a couple questions to answer. So
great.
So we got one on screen already, so we can grab that.
All right.
So what does this one say?
This one, why is aggression still untouched after all this time? Are there any plans to remove or change it, and if so, when?
We are looking currently at the item system. Obviously, we want the item system to feel impactful, and obviously with the short duration of our games, when you hit 15 minutes or so, we want those to start feeling very, very strong and have that kind of counter system that goes into the game. Looking at aggression specifically, I think it's super fair feedback that we're hearing from the community a lot, and that it is kind of more of a new player trap, and that it's very attractive. It's something that you obviously want to do more of. You like doing damage, but realistically, when it's placed in the tier of things like Cauterize or Wrecker, Bulldozer, right? Those kind of things end up being even more impactful and also can have a team-wide benefit.
Yeah.
The role that aggression is attempting to solve right now is really kind of having a strong counter against Blast Shields or Haven. We're also looking at next patch, looking at Blast Shields and Haven specifically, the strength of Cauterize and how many players on the team need to use it in order for it to be effective, and then obviously the impact of Wrecker and Bulldozer. So no changes this patch for aggression. We are running through some options internally to fix that, kind of run through that, looking at potentially even kind of armor penetration options, damage reduction penetration options, or balancing between aggression and Blast Shields and Haven better. But as of right now, we don't really have a kind of clear win option that we tested internally that we really like. So we're still kind of working through that to solve that problem.
Beautiful.
All right, next question is, why did you scrap Shaolin's pillar ability?
It's an interesting question. I think, throughout the process of creating champions, it's a very long iterative process. I mean, from start to finish, champions can take upwards of 2 to 3 months to make. We're working on many at one time, and when one comes to the forefront that we really like, or feel like it's a good fit, we end up releasing it. But, as we get closer and closer to releasing the champion, as designers, we always ask ourselves, what is important about this champion and what's getting in the way, right? And is there something that we can simplify in this kit that makes the character fulfill the same role and make it a lot easier to understand? And the pillar was that for Shaolin, right? He already has a lot in his kit. He is a low mobility, kind of shifty, long range sniper, filling a very similar role to Kinessa. He has kind of the short range knockback with the stun, short duration stealth ability, kind of reposition, and also distraction. And obviously, when he gets the moment when someone's not paying attention, or he kind of dawns up on a high level against a group of enemies on the point, he can hit plant it and shred through them, but with a huge cost associated with it. And we felt that that was really the gameplay wrapping around the bow, and the creation of kind of obstructions, obstacles, blocking people out of doorways, standing on pillars, and those kind of things was something that we really wanted to wrap around a full character and make that their gameplay and something that they can own. And it just felt like something that was just a little bit too much for Shaolin.
It seems like it helps you too in the future of like, creating a system where champions are picked in this champion draft phase to actually counter different play styles. It seems like making that a whole champion playstyle allows even that development system to be more intricate in the future. And so I think it sets you up for success, definitely as you move forward and different niches become, more attractive to other players. Different maps become more attractive with more corridors, etc. Picking a full champion to kind of go for that, I think that will be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely like cool tech, and I would be, excited to see it come back. But I know when we were playing with it in Dev, Evan were kind of pining over, do you want to use these kind of to block, or because they have the stun, right? And it's kind of was like, we were like, really, man, like, wow, what do we want to use these as? Like, when's the right time to go for one as opposed to the other?
And as we're developing, we always try to attach to kind of just naturally, what do people enjoy? Like, what puts a smile on your face? And when we were looking at Shaolin's right click, there was a small subset of people that enjoyed like running through a doorway and blocking it behind them. Or we actually were, right before we released him, we're working on tech to be able to shoot directly at the ground and have it prop you up on a pedestal so you can shoot down some people. Some really cool things, right? But at the end of the day, the thing that people enjoyed most was knocking someone to the wall and impaling them, right? That was the core of what people enjoyed the most, and we wanted to embrace that and make it feel good. At the end of the day, too, adding the pillar to him meant that Bulldozer was an additional option as a counter for him when you already have, obviously, Haven, you have Illuminate, and some other options there to kind of counter him. And we want to make sure that, similar to the changes we've made to Barik, that it feels like there is a more directed subset of things you can do to counter those characters, and the team comps be more of a team strategy rather than someone who's too self-sufficient on their own.
Right. Cool. Awesome.
All right. What helpful things can players do besides bug reporting?
There's tons. Bug reporting is one of the best, right? All the developers, including QA and kind of the people that are responsible for making sure the game is great every day, they check the forums. We have bug reporting forums, but also the bug reporting in-game is awesome. One of the things that we're really excited about is in this patch, we're cranking it up again, kind of just continuing to improve our anti-cheat systems. We have, at this point, at the last numbers I looked at, we've been banning on average about 170 people a day.
Wow.
So we're being very, very aggressive on that, and that is continuing to be improved every single patch. So obviously, kind of reporting in-game after every match, players that you feel are not either just need to be kind of reacted to in some way by the support staff. The forums are great. Any kind of community sites like Reddit are also great. Twitter, we check as well. So kind of just being active and just kind of putting your voice out there is one of the best things you can do. And then because we have so many members of the Paladins team that are very active and watching those things, it'll get kind of eaten up pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah, we also send out a feedback form every patch, and we meet with the designers every week to go over, the player feedback. So we really appreciate all of that. And then the next question is, will we be seeing any more holiday skins?
Yes, definitely. The art team has been working on some pretty cool stuff for some upcoming events. We have some more to share that with the next patch, but we're all big fans of kind of things that go on throughout the year and kind of the events. You saw Pumpkin, obviously. Doing more of that for more events is something we plan for. And as we kind of kick up into full steam through open beta, I guess there's a pun in there. We'll look at more kind of big event things.
Yeah.
All right, so I think at this point, probably a good point. We have some good community questions, but obviously, since Nick was kind enough to take us through the balance, I think it'd be a good opportunity to kind of look through some live questions. So if you guys have any kind of community questions you want to pop up in Twitch chat, I have it up on my trusty Note 5 that doesn't explode on here. So if you guys have any specific questions, we can kind of run through that.
What could be a good holiday?
People are saying Bomb King Santa. They're saying Barik Santa.
What if Barik Santa had like a snowball launcher turret? That'd be cool.
I might play Barik. I might play Barik.
You guys need me to record any sound effects, just let me know.
Sound effect guy, new sound effect.
I could see Grover too. Christmas tree Grover.
So question here.
A bunch of ornaments and stuff hanging off.
Yang 466 in chat says, why isn't there voice chat yet? We're still working on a voice chat system. We want to add it in as soon as we can. It's being worked on in the background. We just don't have a time frame for that just yet. Can you nerf Shaolin's Planted? Is an interesting question. Overall, one of the things we like about Shaolin's Planted is that there's a really high risk, high reward punishment there.
Right.
So how do you guys feel about Planted?
It's punishable, right? Because with Mako, well, in the playtest the other night, I spanked Evan a couple times with reversal, and then he adapted though, and then he was, back to working me a couple times. It was a good back and forth.
It was.
And it's, when he pulled it off at the right time, man, you were just shredding people.
Yeah, but the thing is too, if you're not paying attention and you don't have hot hands on your Q and then your F, like, Androxus just would capture. Anyone having win the planet, it's just like he'd go into reversal. He'd take one shot, go into reversal. I'm like, if I don't press Q and get out of this, I'm standing here and he's going to kill me, right? So Mako can also counter that really well. I don't think that he's in the realm of needing Nerf at all. I think he's actually just in a really good place. I think Planet is again has enough of a penalty if you don't use it correctly that
definitely
it warrants good players.
Here's a good one. Customizable crosshairs. This has come up a few times.
A lot.
I'm personally a dot man. I like dots on every single thing. No recoil,
Same.
no kind of bloom. It's something that, personally, I'm one of the biggest proponents of internally. As we get through kind of some of the bigger features we want to implement and some of the new maps, stuff like that, it'll come along. Definitely expect that because I want it to.
I have another. I saw something in chat too that was asking for a female frontline. Any plans for that in the future? What are the plans for the frontline?
For a strong, independent
We
woman.
are currently working on a different take on a frontline. It is one of the few champions we're working on right now. We do have plans for a female frontline in the future. I'm just going to expand that out. We hope that the next frontline that comes out will have a pretty nice contrast point to the other ones that are out there and kind of build that up. And then hopefully with that as well, we'll follow up with another female frontline. Now, obviously, frontlines, the best thing about frontlines is being able to tank with shields and deploy shields and defend teammates.
Yes.
But we have some plans around kind of self-barriers, maybe even some siphoning of shields and stuff like that. Some interesting mechanics that would make that frontline a little bit different.
Neat.
Are you going to increase Ruckus's mobility?
Most likely, no.
Okay.
It's interesting. I mean, because he has a front line, right? We like the ability to reposition. Actually, one of my favorite things about the Star Slayer skin, the visual effects guys did such a great job with this. When you do the advance for Ruckus in the Star Slayer skin, you see kind of like the traveling through space warp time lines that come through, and they pause in a dot and then fade away, almost like you just traveled through warp time. It looks so great. It's awesome.
That is sweet. Yeah, I mean, Ruckus he's a frontline, right? So he does have pretty decent mobility, I think. In terms of that. And I think the part that I like about Ruckus's mobility right now is the two-charge split, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like a Fernando charge where you just have to commit to a direction. You can kind of like pop in, pop out sort of thing.
Peek your head in.
Yeah.
What's going on? All right. Don't want to go there. And when is Skye going to get nerfed? I can't stand this anymore, Dry Bear. When is she going down?
Settle down, Evan.
When
Settle
is she
down.
going down?
Settle down.
There's too many Skies being played in esports, and I can't handle it. I need an answer.
Too many Skies.
Yeah.
We are always kind of actively looking at the balance of the champions, and our intention is never to have a champion that feels unviable or too weak. Stealth champions and sniper champions are always a very special case, right? Because if they end up becoming either too easy or too, replicatable in a match, they become very frustrating to play against. So it's balancing the feeling of playing against it, and the goal is always to make sure that a champion is fun to play, but also fun to play against. We never want to implement a champion that is only fun for the person playing it, and it's kind of the fun killer, the anti-fun for everyone else is in the match. So that's something that we're always asking ourselves when we look at champions, balancing out Skye and trying to commit to it. One thing you'll see with all the changes we've been making recently as well is we're trying to really focus on what champions are good at and kind of peel back away on the things that are there that just feel extra or feel like it's not part of who they are, right? With the example of Grover reducing his health last patch, just being very naturally tanky, but then enhancing his axe damage, and then in future patches looking if he needs, additional healing or AoE single target healing or pieces that make him special and enhancing that. And then Skye for her is really the ability to flank with stealth and get a single target and burn that down. So obviously with the adjustments we made to Time Bomb a few patches ago, and adjustments we've made to hearing her when she comes out of stealth to kind of limit the frustration of playing against her. And we'll continue to evaluate her as we go forward.
Yeah, so she's pretty sitting in a decent spot for everyone on the team right now. So the other actually interesting aspect I've seen brought up quite a bit is melee. Is there going to be an option to melee as a champion, or a melee champion in general, like we saw in some previous iterations before we went into Steam?
So with Makoa melees now, right? Unless he has the plushie skin, I guess it's more of like a squeak attack. I don't know what you would call it. But so obviously with Makoa already existing in the game, that's pretty much a yes, right? We like having melee options in there. One of the things that we want to limit going forward is make sure that there's not a champion that is primarily melee, that all they do is melee, so that they're not just kind of in your face constantly and just whacking you. So examples like Makoa, where you just get an opportunity to really become very powerful in melee and strike them down, or making a champion that has the ability maybe to switch between swords to pistols or something like that, kind of has some nice duality there that creates an interesting gameplay. And then on the question of kind of the base default melee, it's one of those, you know, Sky is a great example. You get someone down to like 5 health, you have to reload, and you're like, I just want to punch you in the face right now so hard. We're looking at that, and that's something that could come in a future patch.
Cool. Excellent. Well, any of you see any other questions?
That's good for me. I mean, Sky, definitely, I get that feeling when they're at 2 health and you just have to sit there. You give me 1 second.
Well, it looks like we are on the closing edge here. Of course, we do have the EVIE'S Winter Classic coming up. As I mentioned, we're taking a 2-week break, so please enjoy your holidays, spend time with your family, play some Paladins while you're at it, and we will definitely be back in December, ready to pick things up in anticipation of January's Paladins Invitational. That's going to do it for us today here on the Patch Notes Show. Dry Bear, Alyssa, Pretty Hair, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned as well on hi-rez TV. We've got the Super Regionals going on, so if you're into Smite, make sure to check that out. I'll be on the analyst desk. And from all of us here